Hey, my sugar bears, welcome back to my channel, Bougie AF. It's your host, Jay Nicole. It's where I say stay bougie on them. It's me feeding you feminism for the soul. It's my soul food offering. It's where I apply pressure to issues by being critical and logical. Now, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, let's get to the commentary where I can guarantee you I will be doing too much because that's just me. And like Sheree said, who's gonna check me, boo?
Hey y'all, it's your girl Jay Nicole, and you are tuned in to the Bougie AF channel where I say stay bougie on, and I'm serving you feminism for the soul. Don't forget to check me out on them people's Instagram at OG_Bougie AF, and then also on them people's Twitter at I'm_Bougie_AF. Okay, so listen, before we go into our little Instagram scroll, let me tell y'all, today is February 22nd, and it was a hard day. It was a hard day for me today. And I'm not talking about work or anything like that because I promise you, I'm not talking about work. It was a hard day because one of the things that I do, like, I don't talk about her much because it's hard. But when it comes to Wendy Williams, y'all, that's my girl. I love me some Wendy Williams. Always has been. And it's not just like a Wendy Williams, like when she made it to TV. Like, I'm like a Wendy Williams fan before the TV, where I had to try to find recordings of her shows and things like that when she was getting into it with Judge Mathis and Whitney Houston and stuff like that. And those who, been on YouTube for a while or been around for a while, remember Bimbo Winehouse on the motherfucking YouTube. And DJ, what's his name? DJ C or something like that. So no, Mr. C, DJ Mr. C or something like that. So, I have been a fan. And so I try not to talk about her that much. I really, really, really do. Because it's like there's nothing to really kind of talk about. Like, I mean, everything has been covered. If you go on YouTube, you see people talking about it a lot. And I know people have mixed feelings about Wendy Williams. But what I will say, because I am not going to do a video to Black China talking to her because I can't handle it. To be completely honest, I've already been crying since I got off of work. I've already been crying because I put it off all day. Like, I've been seeing her trending on Twitter, X or whatever, and I was just like, no, I can't. I don't. Like, I just don't. I don't watch the Sherry's, the Replacements, or the Jennifers. I don't watch any of that shit. I can't do it. I want Wendy. Like, that's just is what it is. She was just someone I truly, 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 really respected. Like, it just is what it is. I respected her intellect. I respected everything about her. She was actually really intelligent. So I respected her fearlessness. I respected that it just never came across that Wendy was out here kissing ass, sucking dick, to get ahead and selling out herself, right? Not that Black community sell out, but she never sold out herself, and she always stayed down to what she believed in. So, for me, most definitely iconic, most definitely a legend, most definitely changed the game. Most definitely is the reason why people like Whack 100 is able to do what he do by being the male Wendy Williams and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, she's created a lot of sons and daughters on these motherfucking YouTube streets. And so, you got to be real about that. But I see it, y'all. I just can't talk about it. I'm gonna be completely honest. I just literally can't talk about it. But what I do want to add one last thing before we move into our, hot topics is that I don't like the criticism of Wendy because there's always this negative picture of her painted as some like gossiper. She does too much. She was the one of the first to do Black media gossip, right? Celebrity gossip. And a lot of times people like to say, oh, she was just so nasty. It's her karma and stuff like that. And I find it really strange when, you have all these people out here making a living off of doing gossip and talking, right? I think there's a story that's trending about Larry Reid. I'm going to tell y'all something. I watched Larry Reid a few times, probably about 2 or 3 years ago. Never sat right with my soul, not on some self-righteous shit, but there's just some things, and as y'all listen to me more and pay attention to my content, y'all know I'm always somehow getting at the church for its fully wineness. And when I see somebody like a Larry Reid, allegedly a down low, given a package that can't be sent back as church gossiper, former pastor, I'm like, there's a lot fucking going on here. Like, there's a lot going on here, and it's a lot for me to wrap my head around, right? So, for me and his rationale on, like, why he thinks it's okay for him to be out here gossiping and talking people's business and stuff like that. It's always interesting, but everybody rationalize why they do what they do, right? That's not he's no different than anybody else, but it's just weird because he is supposedly was a man of God, and for various reasons, got ran out of them people's, I think, Carolinas or something like that. But there's a lot going on. But the reason why I bring them up is because I've always found, and I've always, when I talk about Wendy Williams and I talk about people giving her a hard time, I never understood why we will act like someone like a Wendy Williams, or even anybody on the YouTube who talks about celebrity gossip and gossip in general, is hurting our community, right? But don't see the hurt in happening in the community with like an individual, or individuals like gang members, this drill rapping, you know what I mean? Like, don't see it there, right? We have a mural of King Von, a serial killer, painted in people's Chicago. We have a mural of Pop Smoke, painted in them people's, I think it was from Brooklyn or the Bronx. But we have these murals like where we're celebrating some of the most deplorable individuals within our community. And for somehow, some way, we still find a way to be mad about the wrong shit. We're not mad at the drug dealers. We're not mad at the Diddies who are abusing our young girls and boys, right? We're not mad at that, right? The Chris Stokes, the R. Kellys. You see how long it took for people to finally realize that they and want to hold R. Kelly accountable. We're not mad about any of that. But to see that someone like a Wendy Williams, when you niggas will go and smile and sit in Vlad's face and be gossiping, giving your opinions on other people who ain't got shit to do with you, DL Hughley, because you sit in the motherfucking interviews and talk about everything underneath the sun, right? Bootsy, you sit in those interviews and give your opinions about everything underneath the sun that ain't got nothing to do with you, right? Y'all go over there and you gossip. Y'all go to TMZ and sit in Harvey Levin's face and you fucking gossip and give that man the content, putting money in his pocket, right? But somehow, some way, it's Wendy that's tearing down the community. But you didn't feel that when Harvey Levin leaked, Ti, when Harvey Levin leaked your sister's information, huh? Right? I don't know. It just seems like it seems like up is down. I'll say it again. It just seems like for me, logically, it just never really kind of makes any sense. But moving on from that little opening, let's get into some hot topics. Okay, there's so much that I really want to talk about, but let's get into it. Where are we at? Okay, so first up, where we want to start? Do we want to start with Monique's response to her son, Shalom? No, we're not going to start with that because I do want to bring up what he had to say. I shot him out. I love me some Monique, and I stand with Monique against Tyler Perry, against Lee Daniels, against Oprah Winfrey, but I will never stand with you against your child, your flesh. Um, and what I seen was extremely disgusting in terms of the first time y'all responded. Well, when y'all responded, you and your daddy sat down and responded to him, and y'all brought up his mental health. And I hate when people play with mental health. I hate when people act like they don't know people who suffer from mental health for various reasons. I hate when people act like someone doesn't have something valid to be speaking on because they may have suffered from mental health in the past. Like, I hate all of that because it was like, well, slow down, Daddy Sydney or whatever, because this man, meaning her son, is talking about his experience growing up and some of the things that she did, and she also played a role in his life. That doesn't mean because he had some mental health, that doesn't mean that what he's saying is not true about Monique, right? It's just not. That doesn't mean any of those things, right? So for me, when I sit and listen to Sydney and Monique talk together, it's strange. Like, I can't get around it. Like, it's strange. It's very. I would not be surprised from seeing how Monique speaks on the stage and seeing how she is in her relationship. And I'm not saying you know, I'm not saying that you are going to appear in your relationship the same way you may appear in your character or whatever, the Monique, the comedian, right? I'm not saying that you're going to be the same way in your relationship. There's just no way. I am not the same person off the mic sometimes, in terms of I can be a little extra on this motherfucking mic, you know what I mean? But in real life, sometimes no. Right? But I think any media personality knows you kick it up a notch when you get on a mic. Like, that's just is what it is. Same way a rapper, same way an actor. So, like, I even hate having to explain that, because I think it's something that should not have to be explained, to be completely honest with you. We don't expect motherfucking Eddie Murphy to be walking around like the fucking donkey from Shrek all the time. We don't expect him to be Gumby from his, character from SNL from the 80s. Like, we don't expect these things. That's unrealistic. That is for what it's for, entertainment, when he is entertaining, right? So, I don't know. I always find that a little weird. But when I see Monique do that, and I see the way Sydney speaks, and I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if they are, I would not be surprised if we're listening to Hebrew Israelites, right? And I would not even be surprised even if we were listening to 5%ers. But I would lean towards more Hebrew Israelites, only because the 5%ers, they're usually ex-convicts and stuff like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if they are Hebrew Israelites, to be completely honest with you. Sydney does give me those vibes. And I just remember the time they were thinking about, like, the open marriage thing. And there's a lot of that in the community. And like I said, some of the way he speaks is very consistent to a lot of, like, NOI, Hebrew Israelite type of rhetoric. And not so much NOI, but very much so on a Hebrew Israelite tip, right? Because I sit in a lot of rooms on Clubhouse and listening to them, and that's just what I pick up on it. That's my personal opinion. That ain't a fact. Personal opinion, but I'm picking up Hebrew Israelites. All right, so the first story that I do want to get in is MSN host Joy Reid speaks on the racial discrimination Black Americans are dealing with today. To find out, Barack's two terms in Juneteenth are your reparations, and yet you built this country. The attitude towards you from your peers as citizens is just shut up and be grateful. Whew.
I know you know the history before, but what is it like to see it in such... you put it all together and see the way that Black people through time have been treated. And there was a quote by James Baldwin, who was a friend of Medgar's, a famous quote from 1961, where he said, "To be a Negro in this country and to be relatively conscious is to be in a state of rage almost all of the time."
Yeah.
And has it changed that much? I mean, if you're over there and you see injustice and you wonder how does it continue, and it either directed against the Black community or the double standard where white people in power, like Donald Trump, are treated vastly different than everyone else.
I mean, to be a Black person in 2024 in America is to be in a state of complete perplexed confusion about what is wrong with a country that hates your history, to this day can't admit even the basics of what was done to your ancestors, can't accept any responsibility for the lack that has carried through the entirety of the existence of you in this country, and think 60 years of relative freedom is enough. Now, Blacks, please get out of Harvard. Now, Blacks, you can't get any more loans. You can't even give each other loans of $20,000 unless you give white men who get 99% of funding for their businesses. We want 100. And to find out that literally Barack Obama's 2 terms as president are your reparations, and Juneteenth, which you already celebrated anyway, is your reparations, and yet you built this country. You literally physically built this country, and yet the attitude toward you from a lot of your peers and your fellow citizens is just shut up and be grateful. And it's infuriating, and that is why James Baldwin is my favorite writer. He is the greatest writer in American history. But he's speaking a truth that still exists, and he's been long gone, but it's still true.
I know you know the history before, but what is it like to see it in such...
All right, so that was interesting to hear. Miss Joy Reid says that. I think it's interesting, and I laugh because someone who I most definitely, let's be clear, I'm an American descendant of slavery, right, of slaves. And ADOS, and please look up the ADOS Advocacy Foundation. Get involved if you identify with the Black American struggle. And it's extremely interesting to hear Miss Joy Reid, who is not a Black American. I believe she's a Nigerian. I'm not sure, but I know she is, or her family is from the continent of Africa. With that being said, there was about a period 3 years ago where Joy Reid had made some off the cuff insulting remarks towards the ADOS, right? And what was happening online, which was a lot of Africans and ADOS people were getting into it, and a lot of words have been exchanged over the years. And so to hear her say that the messaging that is happening in this country is get over what happened to you, just be grateful, is extremely interesting, because a lot of people will tell you when you start to really, and if you've had any personal relationships with Africans, that sometimes they will make it seem like the problem is us Black Americans, and due to laziness, not being invested, or caring about education, that's the leading reasons why you guys are behind, right? Because we come here and get to the education, and we get to the bag, and we do well for ourselves here. A lot of times in like real fucking life, that's what the attitude of a lot of Africans will be when it comes to Black Americans, to the extent like you start to feel like they think they're better than you, right? People from where they are from, third world countries, think that they're better than you, a country that you've built, that, and they want to come to, right? So a lot of times there's words that are happening, but she had participated with making it seem that ADOS was some fringe group within society, within Black culture, that is just trying to cause division between Black Americans and Africans, right? Like in terms of like when we start to talk about like what we stand for as ADOS people and what we want to accomplish in terms of delineation, in terms of like when you go fill out applications and you start to they're out there gathering stats and stuff. What is happening is that we have an influx of so many different minority groups. What's happening is that Black Americans are getting lost in that. And so what ends up happening is that you see Africans are the ones that are going to Harvard. So that's why affirmative action and all the other shit didn't really bother Black Americans, because we understood that a long time ago we stopped benefiting or barely benefited from that, right? But you start to see that when they start to do these stats and they start to say, what is the conditioning, or how has the experience in Black Americans changed over the last 50 years, you start to see West Indian people be included in those numbers. You start to see African people be included in those numbers. And even when you start to talk about women, you start to see all that include all the minority groups included in those numbers, right? And us as Black Americans, if you are Black Americans in touch with like your community, been around real niggas, really still go to the hood, really still got family in the projects and stuff like that, and you have a government and you have different people always trying to tote how everybody's working, low unemployment rates, the economy's great. When you really in touch, like you really still eat beans and shit, you know what I'm saying? You really Black American, and you don't try to separate yourself from your group and who you are, and you identify in that shit. Those numbers don't represent what the experience is, right? Those numbers doesn't represent the fact of, you got family members that are surviving off of Social Security and disability. Sometimes that's $1,000 a fucking a month in some food stamps and low income housing. And they've been doing this for 20 and 30 years. So excuse us if we're not impressed by your fucking unemployment rate, because we understand that we still are in these low wage jobs and having to work 2 or 3 jobs to even be able to survive a little bit. That don't speak to us, for us, or tell our experience. We know that we are still living below the poverty line. 56% of New Yorkers are living below the poverty line. But you have a mayor, in terms of whatever his name, Adams, who wants to give illegal immigrants $10,000 on a Visa debit card. And you think that it's divisive and hateful for Black Americans to be like, hey, what the fuck is you doing? Because the minute that we say we need funds, you tell us it's welfare. You want to manage who's in our motherfucking homes and how we spending money, and if we got $10 motherfucking dollars over the limit or some shit. Excuse me? So that's why people are a little taken back by Joy Reid and the way she's speaking, because she went against Black Americans, right? And I always think it's dope when people know our history and know some of our favorite peoples and stuff like that, that they can call on. But you have to really know it. You have to you really, you just really have to know it. And sometimes, and I don't blame nobody. I think people do their best. I think there's no comprehensive curriculum or anything in the United States that speaks to learning about the social condition that has happened to Black Americans over the last 400 years, right? How's that look in our homes, right? When you start talking about weird shit like nuclear families and shit like that, when it's so weird. That does not apply to us. Sorry. I just don't think it applies to us. From the 80s to grandmas raising kids. I had aunts who never got married. That just does not apply. Our family has always not looked like it was supposed to. So, I don't know. But let's see what my friends in the chat has to say. Where's it at? Okay, she was speaking on some things. Yeah, she was speaking on some things. She sounded like she walked back. But delineation, I just want to say one thing. Delineation is really important. Delineation tells you so much. It tells you who is really not achieving. It tells you where you see Black Americans working at. And I am someone, and maybe, I do my own check when I go to different cities. I'm looking to see where we're working at and stuff like that. Even being in Boston and working in the bio community and these tech companies and stuff like that, these pharmaceutical companies, I'm the only Black American a lot of times, and I go through fucking hell. Only Black American, right? And I point that out because those are the jobs that are cushy. Those are the jobs I tell my brother all the time, people show up happy. Those are the jobs where they're providing lunch for you 3 times a motherfucking week and stuff like that, right? They're not the city jobs that don't want to pay you overtime. Right? It's not hard labor, construction and all those other things, because I guess Killer Mike out here saying that's what we need to be getting back into, the hard life, right? Not that soft life that has you getting lunch 3 times a week with the choice of working from home. Not that soft life. You got to have that hard life, right? Right? So we want to see those numbers and how that represents us. We already knew that when it came to Harvard and Black Americans, that it wasn't us who the affirmative action was going to negatively affect. We knew that. All right, so let's see what the comments have to say. In my comment section. Y'all know I love the comments. Let me close it out and open it back up. What's going on? I want to see if there's any ADOS people in there remember the shit she was saying before. Here come the people whose families are still benefiting from slavery, coming to tell us why we don't deserve reparations. I love Joy. I watch her every night at 7 p.m. on MSNBC. This is true. I'm dealing with it at work. As an African American that has a master's degree and more experience, it's so hard to get promoted or get recognized. All they want me to do is shut up and be grateful that we not firing you. It's very draining. It's sort of like we took a chance on you. How dare you have some complaints about the unfairness or the not wanting to compensate you for your time? Facts, but as soon as one of them can rap a little bit or can hit a little dance move, we automatically invite them to the cookout when they wouldn't even save a plate for us. I like when people speak with reason and not emotions. She cleared it. I love that too. I hate emotional. Like, I hate when people try to appeal to emotion. I just think that is so lazy. That is so lazy of an argument. That infuriating part is someone will listen to this eloquent, intelligent black woman spit facts and still find something wrong with what she is saying. Bad girl, bougie, it ain't just the whites either. Poop! It sure ain't. My biggest enemy on jobs be other black people. And this is why I tell y'all, this is why I say the things, and it's not because I have a lack of empathy, it's not because I hate my community, but it's about seeing my community and seeing the fucked upness about it, and not being disillusioned about what it is. Niggas is fucked up and got fucked up mindsets. I am not from the hood. I am not from the projects. I do not possess that crab in the barrel ass mentality. If I see somebody winning, I want them to keep winning. I'm not sitting back thinking who she thinks she is. She ain't all that. She need to let that shit go. She too old to be doing that. It's not her time. She's past her time. All that shit that niggas say when they want to hate on somebody trying to do them. When they can just be equally busy concerned with doing them and figuring out what the fuck they want. I don't believe there's a time limit on anything. I just don't. Anything can happen. I just don't. So trying to convince me that it's not my time or my time has passed or any of that, get your fucking hating ass nigga ass shit away from me before I get disrespectful. Like, that's exactly how I feel about that. Nothing worse than a nigga who don't see nothing in themselves. I have no talent about themselves. Trying to tell you what's your place and what you should be expecting out of society based off of how they feel about them. Stop projecting. Boo. Move along. I'm so sorry you don't love you. I'm so sorry you didn't cultivate your talent. I'm so sorry you don't see nothing in you. I am so sorry for that. But what I do know, I didn't do it. She told no lies, ate and left no crumbs. Mind you, the state of New York paid over $183 million to Holocaust survivors. Boop. I know Jewish people better not feel like black Americans shouldn't get reparations. I just know. Like, there's just no reason why they should even have an opinion that doesn't support black Americans getting reparations. Like, it just doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense for them to have an opinion about it. I'm going to be completely honest with you. What else? If you're trying to find a lie, good luck. She is good. Shout out to James Baldwin and Dick Gregory. Shout them out for most definitely. Be grateful mindset. They really try to treat us like we just got here and are demanding equity when we've been here from the beginning. Before the beginning and haven't stopped fighting for it. They act like they are doing us a favor by letting us live in our own country. Facts. And talking about that grateful mindset, anybody who knows me in real life, I hate that fucking grateful conversation. I hate that humble conversation. These are slave talks. This is slave talk. That's a slave mindset. Just be grateful we got some chitlins, y'all. Right? It's a slave mindset. Right? And it's not nothing to do with being cocky or any of that other shit, but having a self-awareness about yourself of knowing what your worth is and what you tolerate. And sometimes as black Americans, I truly believe we don't know or we don't realize that's the anti-blackness that sometimes that we also do to ourselves. When you tell another black person, when they're talking about their experience and how they've been treated, you tell them, oh, just be grateful, just pray about it and all the other stuff. You're asking them to look past themselves. You're asking them not to acknowledge what they've been through. Because we've been told the scraps, the leftovers, or any of those things You better be glad you got that. There's a reason why Oprah keeps telling that story about back in the day she took something money and was the best decision she ever made because it changed her life. Why in 2024 she's still telling that motherfucking story like Taraji P. Henson and fucking Monique should be out here like that still. You went through that so they wouldn't. Why the fuck is you telling us about that? Still. They paid their dues. So you have Miss Oprah internalize just be grateful for the opportunities that just come your way. Because that's why you would have them women or down there and not have them right in terms of the catering and the car, right? You know, black women barely working in Hollywood, so I know y'all not gonna make a big deal about that Oscar Mayer bologna and cheese on the table. Huh? That's what you thought, Oprah? Yes, it be your own. There's too many examples for people to call bullshit or say what I'm saying ain't facts. It be your fucking own. It be your own on these jobs, licking the white man's ass, telling them something about you to make it harder for the next black person. It be your own. Yeah. Like your check is affected by the next black person getting the check. By the next person getting a check. Y'all bring that shit. Y'all bring that mindset to the workplace. What the fuck we competing for? We on the same team. What the fuck is you talking about? Whew. White people be like, get over slavery. The Holocaust happened too, but look at how long either it lasted, and they want us to get over it. Wild as fuck. That whole get over it, and that happened so long ago. Listen, that's why I said when it comes to Jewish people, don't play with somebody who knows the history, or even if we're talking about Israel and Palestine and y'all still fighting over this land, like how long y'all gonna continue to do this for? Should we tell y'all to get the fuck over it and stop sending our money over there? Like, help me understand if you're gonna take that attitude. But when look at my people. I love it. Mother glow up. She said, but when at Yvette Carnell and at Tone Talks were advocating for reparations, she basically dismissed them and said that the reparation moves, specifically American descendants of slaves, were online bots. That's what she said. That's why I said this may be a little walk back, and maybe she think that, motherfuckers don't got that photographic memory. And they can't remember, but baby, I remember that's what you said. I remember you were talking about delineation. I remember your support of Black Lives Matter, and I was like, what is that? Who is that? And you was like, people act like they don't know who Black Lives Matter, Yvette Carnell, and she named the 3 founders, and it went over her head that she didn't understand what I was trying to say. We didn't know them niggas. We didn't know them. They didn't tell us what they were trying to do. Who is they? And for those out there who sometimes don't like the way I speak and think I'm gonna sit up here and be a tightwad and speak like a tight ass English professor or something, get the fuck on. This ain't your channel. Sometimes I slur when I speak. Sometimes I slur when I speak. Sometimes I do talk with a little accent or something. Like, there's a lot going on. But if you can't handle it, keep it the fuck moving. Ain't nobody drunk, because I don't even drink hard alcohol all like that. And if this blue moon happens to get me drunk, that's some powerful ass blue moon. But I haven't yet experienced having 1 or 2 blue moons and I got drunk. Like, that's just not a thing. But I do know that sometimes I do slur. Please don't underestimate it. And if you do think this slurring means that there's some type of cognitive or some type of low IQ, I promise you, I'm probably just waiting in the wings to burn you. I promise you, there's nothing off. I promise you, I'll act like I missed it and didn't notice something, and I will just be waiting. I'm telling you this about me. So if I ain't playing, or if I come across aloof, or if I come across as blonde, as my uncle would say, I have an uncle in Ohio. He was like, one day he came to me, he said, And I love my uncle, right? And so we usually like when we, like, get a chance to go for a ride or something, we talk. Interesting conversation. I find him to be really intelligent, and both my uncle and my aunt are really intelligent and stuff like that. So, but I just really connect and talk to him more on an intellectual level. So we just be talking sometime, and so one day he said to me, he was like, "So you just play like you're blonde and aloof and stuff like that." And I didn't at the time. It was the first time I felt like anyone ever noticed that because I don't think anybody, like, this is the first time somebody had noticed that sometimes I have majority of the time I've dumbed it down so much to be around and keep company with a lot of people. But I don't even like, because I don't think it's dumbing down with my family though. So I don't want to say that. But when I'm with my family, I feel no need to try to be like this intellectual beast and like this person who wants to debate and to have deep reflective conversations all the time. Like, I don't know, like, if I come up from out of state to visit you, like, I'm come to enjoy, our time and all the other stuff. So I necessarily don't know if I felt like I was playing aloof or blonde, but he most definitely realized that no, there's nothing dumb or stupid about you, versus probably when I'm just around, I don't really kind of it's not a dumbing down. But also my family, like when we're around each other in Ohio, like in like a lot of us in a room, nobody's talking about anything, right? Like there's no deep conversations happening. Once in a while, like celebrity stuff will come up, but there's no opportunity to actually show or for somebody to see that. And I say that with some friendships or some groups I've been around in the past, probably haven't had substance conversations with me, like conversations of substance with me, because there was never an opportunity. One, I've had friends where, y'all, I can't tell you if they read, I can't tell you if they vote, I can't tell you if they know what the Democrats or the Republicans are. Like, I can't tell you none of that shit about them, because it just never was an opportunity to have those conversations. We would, hey girl, you want to go out tonight? Like, what's going on? And, pick them up. We in the car having fun and stuff like that, and over music and drinking, y'all think we talking about Palestine and Israel or some shit, or my thoughts on reparations? Like, that's not happening, right? So I think it's unrealistic that there's just sometimes some friends may not know some things about you. So that is what it is, but it's not a not being yourself. I had to say that to my sister. She was like, well, why be you around people you can't be yourself? I said, no, I never thought of it as not being myself. I thought of it as there was just never an opportunity. That just wasn't the nature of the relationships, right? So they could never tell you anything about me because we didn't talk about anything. One friend, I don't even think she didn't even watch TV, right? Like, so she didn't even watch the news. She never knew what was going on. She was just into letting niggas use her throat for recess and going out and getting drunk. She was a drunk, right? So what were we going to talk about? Right? So, like I said, each is own. Like, it's still not a knock. I still won't say, like, I didn't enjoy hanging out with her at times, but the nature of the relationship just was not that. Let me see what somebody said to this comment. Only one reply. Right. Was loud with it all on MSNBC till she started having real ADOS saying it in her face on her show. She looked like she saw a ghost on that one show. Girl. Like, listen. Like, some of them get out of pocket. We got one right now in Clubhouse. He always talking like he talking for Black Americans. And I just be sitting there listening to him quote my history all fucking wrong, be out of context, not really know what the fuck he be talking about. Like, I know some people think because they read it in the book or something like that. It is always different when you experience it. Like, there's you're never catching me on a stage talk about African history like it's mine. Like, as if, I don't know, leading conversations about some shit that I don't come from. I don't know. I find that so fucking disrespectful. But yeah, I thought that was interesting, y'all. Reparations is what it is. Until Joe Biden, even though Joe Biden says that he would sign a reparations bill if it made it to his desk, that's lip service, right? I will always tell you, my point of my podcast or my YouTube channel is I'm going to always try to give you a different way of thinking about things, right? One of the things I hear a lot on Clubhouse and just hear people talk about in general is sometimes that we lack the inability to critically think about some things. You said you would sign that bill talking about Joe Biden if it reached your desk, but you then spent the last 3 years not campaigning for it, not pushing it, not bringing it up, not leaning on those you can lean on in Congress to try to get the tides to turn towards it. So it comes across as lip service. Don't let people give you lip service. There's action that needs to happen to get bills and things done in Washington D.C. And so that was just to make us feel good, sort of like giving us Juneteenth is to make us feel good, right? Make you feel like you've been heard. No, baby, we need to see some actions that follow that up. All right, so what else we want to talk about? Okay, so we had that. All right, y'all. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave it there. Y'all know how we do it here. We keep it bougie as F. We keep it posh as F. We keep being black as F. We keep being blessed as F. And y'all be black, y'all. Kiss, 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 kiss. And don't you forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I am out. Bye.